Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today we're going to do a disassembly of this KWA original E4 ICE. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because those interactions help the channel get seen by the algorithms and help me grow. The Linktree link down below will take you to all of my socials, including my Discord and my merch store if you wanted to buy something. And the join button down below will take you to channel memberships, just 99 pence a month. Supports the channel, you get custom videos, bloopers, your own giveaways and that sort of thing. And shout outs in some videos as well. So, today we've got the E4 ICE then, and we're going to do disassembly to see what makes it tick internally. And I'm pretty looking forward to this because I've really enjoyed this during the unboxing. It performed really well, so I'm excited to see if there's any real noticeable difference that I can tell during the disassembly. So at the front end then, that is just a 14mm negative thread, and we'll just unscrew the opposite to what would naturally unscrew. Make sure if it's not budging, you've undone the grub screw there. This one is loose for me as it was out of the box. In terms of removing the charging handle then, it does say get like a thin punch. I did cover this in the unboxing video, so I'm just going to push that down and out of the way. And release that. Now I believe I should be able to undo this screw, and this should come off, hopefully. Famous last words. So to do that screw, I'm doing a 2.5 hex or Allen key bit. Oh, there's a couple underneath as well by the looks of it. So there's one. There's two. Now those two screws were identical. I'm hoping these two are. Make sure that you keep screws in the correct order and grouped together so that you know where everything's come from, and at the end you don't just have a couple of random spare screws. That did just slide off as easy as that. And then we can see the charging handle mechanism that connects through to the ejection port cover. So I'm just going to chuck that back on for now, put those back in. Oops. This is really difficult balancing it in midair whilst filming it, so I apologise for, to be fair, I'm lying so as well, so I'm really clumsy as well. So to remove the front sight and rear sight, if you flip it over the other side, once I finish this screw, there we go. If you flip it over, there is just a flat head screw there, one there, and these will just come straight off this rail. What we're going to go for now is punching this pin out to get, oh, it's a screw open pin. That's got 2.5 bit. It is a 2.5. Right, so that's come out. You run away. Gonna get a flat head on that just to help pry it up. That doesn't want to budge. Tell you what, let's tap it through from that way. So I'm just going to put a small screwdriver. It's not on the threads or anything. It's just going down the middle. And I'm just going to tap it out just nice and gently. Now I have got proper punchers, but a lot of the time what I'm doing is showing you guys how you can do this without needing to use proper punchers, and that you can do it with everyday tools. So that top cover literally just, ooh, that's a little bit different. Okay, I'm guessing that's because of this charging handle assembly. So let's click that back in place. So as I move it back, I don't know how well you can see that, the charging handle there, I'll bring it on camera, is pushing a rod back. That rod pushes against the top here and just moves it back. You've then got this lever here that just bounces up and then releases it back forward again. Very similar design to previous KWA gearboxes, just a little bit of extra moulding and shaping on some of these things, which we'll have a look at as we're going through. In terms of the hop unit then, it's bog standard. We've seen lots of other builds. It's got the little lugs at the side there that marry into the front of the gearbox there. So we've got two little lug holes, and the hop unit itself has got lugs there. Let's put this hop fully on. That is the hop fully on. That's quite a lot of adjustment. It is one of the split nubs, split rubbers as well, so it intentionally should be like that. And it was hop in at 2.5s with very little adjustment, so there is plenty in there. So get that out of the way, and the up out of the way. Let's take the stock out. So I just held the button in and kept pulling. There's our battery extension. Take that out of the way, and we've got a Phillips head screw down there. I'm just going to take a Phillips head screw into this screw and waiting for that. There we go. And I'm going to carefully upend it and just pulled lightly. The screw has come out, so just move this out of the way. So it is a plate like that. It's got a screw and a washer on it like that, all going together. The rest of the assembly just pulls off. Now if you have a recoil KWA and you want to convert it to non-recoil and put a stock tube on it, what you can do is, if you get this spring guide attachment, this tube system as well, you can put these into your recoil, replace the back end and put a normal stock tube onto this. May need a fiddling about with stock tubes as such, just to get the right kind of fit. But that's that part. So what I'm going to do now is quick release spring. There we go. And there's our stock spring, giving us about 330 FPS. Now this is the VPS spring guide, and I'll show you what happens. You don't need to access the disassemble all this to do this. This will go in through the stock, in through this hole once you've taken that Phillips head out. Now if I twist it, it's actually clockwise, gives you more FPS, and anti-clockwise. So that was different to what I'd said initially, I think. Can't even remember anymore. It was earlier on, I'm tired. So extending it, as you can see there, it's getting longer. This gap here is getting bigger. That's going to give you more FPS. And winding it back in will bring down your FPS. Okay, that's the variable FPS system. So that's out the way then. We've got a screw in the back of here, which I'm guessing is 2.5 as well. A lot of 2.5 action going on today. I like it. That screw might not necessarily come out on its own, so you might need to just sort of be a little bit push and pulley with it. Maybe get something small underneath it to work it out. I'll sort that out in a minute. Next, we're going to take the pistol grip off. So 2.5 is too big for there and for there. Let's go down a size. This is a 2. Hopefully this is the one we need. Yeah, 2 for there. And 2 for there. So I'm going to put these together out of the way. That's 1. That's that one. Up comes the base plate. Now, instantly I can notice there isn't one of those trigger arcing wire things that they have on a lot of the other ones. It's there's usually like a little wiring loom thing with a chip. That is not on here at all. So there is our standard KWA high torque motor. There's the spring. Just wrap around the wiring. Well, that's annoying. There we go. So just to show you, oddly, the red wire does come up the front, but it actually kind of bends back on it, in on itself, and comes up the front and then round to the back. The black wire comes round from the back, up the front and onto a terminal. So the red wire comes up the front and then round to the back. The black wire comes out of the back, pushed round underneath, under the motor to the front and up and onto the terminal. There are still 2 screws in here, despite this not being like a detachable pistol grip, that this is part of the receiver. So there's one pistol grip screw. And these are just Phillips heads. There are literally only 2 holes that this can go in down there. Now I'm already trying to pull the pistol grip, and I know I can't, but I'm still trying to pull it off anyway. Normally at this point the pistol grip would just come away. So looking at this, this is a little bit new and different to me. I am guessing the trigger pin still needs to come out. There's no back pin here. Oh, this is really weird. So, and there's a screw here. So I'm guessing this screw here first is a size 2 screw. And that's going to come out. And I can see that has come out of the back of the gearbox. So there is a little washer on that screw, and that was just in there into the back of the gearbox. It's not quite fully ready yet. I'm then going to just, guessing that's a pin, I'm just going to take this off camera and tap this out. Now this pin is shaped so it's got quite a large head on it that stays on this left hand side. There is also teeth just underneath it, so this is the side that comes out of. Now I'm guessing that screw there is potentially giving me issues. I'm just going to get this screw out. Aha, found. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to remove these bolts as well. It's far too big. There we go. So I've switched to a size 3 hex or Allen key bit, and it looks like if I take this screw out, which you replace to put one of the QD sockets in, and this side out, now they are slightly angled and tapered. I don't know how well you can see that. They are pretty flat squared corners and tapered. It goes in like that. That tapered side should go inwards down into the socket. At that point now I can remove that, which has taken that screw with it. Bish bash bosh. I can then, I believe, I can remove that if I wanted to hold the wiring out of the way. This will unscrew and come out of the way, so I could in theory convert it to recoil, and then I'm going to carefully lift this up and out, taking the wiring with it. Be careful with the wiring so as not to snag it and tear it or damage it, because obviously we need it in one piece. Apologise, I'm just moving that forward, pushing it forward and backwards just to get it to come up and out of the body there. I'm being really careful not to yank on any of the cables here. Move that out of the way. I'm just going to manipulate. There we go. Now at this stage what I can do is I can fight with this and get this out, but I don't need to. I can get into this gearbox without any issues whatsoever. Now having a look at this, so it does look like there are 2 little screws on there that will open this up and allow me to remove this assembly. So have I got, what do I need to come and get? Yep, precision time. So I brought my precision set then, and let's see if we've got something small enough to remove this and what size did we need. So that looks like it's done the job. That is a 1.3 hex head bit. It has done the job. There's one. There we go. The back has literally come off and away. There's the front, still got one of the screws in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep that with that. I'm going to keep them safe over there, out of the way, together. And the front, I'm going to do the usual thing. I'm just going to stick the screwdriver in there, pull it forward and pop it up, and that now should, there we go, and there's the underside of it. Nice and easy. So I'm going to put that all together to bring it back. Now that is again another new design in there, where they've put these extra wings on the sides here, and they've reworked the top of the shell a little bit. Now these shells are absolutely like bomb proof in terms of strength and design. They're just so ridiculously strong and well made. So I'm going for the T10 to remove all the bits, all the screws. If you've noticed videos recently, my lighting has been a bit different and off. It's because I've been relegated to another part of the house at the minute to do some of my filming, so I'm not in my normal location, much to my disgust and annoyance. Now all of these screws have got little washers on them, so make sure that they keep the little washers with them, because it helps with the compression and not to ruin threads and things. So little washers on every little screw in there, make sure that they all stay on. That's for the external case screws. So let's open this up then, let's have a look inside. And it is, there's a couple of the washers for them screws there, and it is the bog standard KWA setup that we've got inside. So let's have a check on the compression. Ooh, look at that. That is some good compression, KWA. I am impressed. Really forcing that in there, getting absolutely nowhere. Really happy with that. The gear set is bog standard. It is, by the looks of it. Looks like it's the Titan. It is Titan compatible, which is happy days. Relatively well greased and shimmed. Go dropping that back in place. Even like the anti-reversal latch stays in place well. Let's just bring that up to have a look. So it is looking pretty damn good. The air seal is good. Let's have a look at what the nozzle air seal is like. So I'm just going to hold that in place. Ooh. Now I can push the piston in, but there is definitely some real air pressure there. You know, I'm building up some pressure. That is, I'm going to agree with them. This is really good. You know, I'm impressed so far. What I'm going to do is get my calipers and just measure the whole length. Now the calipers weren't working very well in the SR4 disassembly. Let's hope they give me a better reading now. Just 1 second. Okay, so we're on. Now there are two slightly different lengths to this. There's like a bit of a lip. So what I'm going to do is measure the bit that's not got a lip and the bit that has got a lip. So the bit with a lip, without a lip even. See, that is definitely not right. Right, push that back in. Looks to be, it's not quite 20, it's not quite 21 millimeters. It's just over 20 millimeters. That is without the lip. Despite what the screen is saying, the part without the lip is just over 20 millimeters, as you can see on the scale here. Ignore this. I'm going to definitely be sending this one back. And then if I go down on the other side, so this is the side with the lip, I'm getting literally just a fraction short. I'm going to call it 21 millimeters, and that's the side with the lip on it. So I'm going to put my dodgy calipers away. Piece of junk. Right, so let's get to rebuilding it then. So I'm going to draw, there's a slight redesign on the tappet plate as well. So as you can see, it's like a proper holder. So the air nozzle slides in. It's going to go on the front. There is no sign, that's a bit of grease, there's no sign of any wear and tear, and that's after a couple hundred shots from the chrono and range test. So we're just going to drop that on there, and we're going to make sure that the piston's teeth are down at the bottom in line with the tappet plate like that. Now this little spring here, let's move this forward, this spring is going to go onto this rod on the tappet plate. So I'm just literally going to hold it up, start feeding it on, and then I'm going to drop it down. I'm going to make sure that the sector gear, I've got my finger on the anti-reversal to stop it pinging off, so my thumb's on the anti-reversal there. I'm just rotating it so the teeth are out of the way of the tappet and the piston. And now I've got that little spring under compression. I'm just going to have to manhandle it and rotate it, and I know it's in position when it'll sort of drop in. The cylinder feels flush with the sides of the gearbox there, so it's not quite sitting there for me. A second, let's just notice there is two of these little silver bolts. They go one in there and one there, and that's for that top screw and the bottom screw. So I'm thinking that should be it. So now I can drop this on, making sure that the wiring's all staying in its tracks. Boom, perfect, straight back into position. Making sure that it is all flush everywhere. The front must be ever so slightly larger than the cylinder, because it's not quite flush on the back there, but it's all sat flush and square together. There's no gap. So we're going to start dropping screws in, making sure that I've got the little washers on each one. Just a point to note when you're putting these screws in, oh, that's the wrong screw. When you're putting these screws in, make sure that you go backwards. The screws should not be tough to put in. They should just easily just click into their threads, and there should be no real effort needed until it gets down to the end. So always remember to sort of twist back until you hear the click, that click, and then go forward, and it should just really nicely and easily go in and forward. So that's now back together. What I'm going to do is bring back in the charging handle assembly. I'm going to feed the rod into there first and drop it in the back. And I'm going to make sure that this plate sits under the head of this screw. Let's just lift this up, show you. So it's just going to sit under this little screw here, and the rod's going to go in. And I'm just going to keep pushing forward, and it's locked in there. It's locked in the front, and I can pull the back in. And I'm just going to screw the two halves together now using that 1.5 bit. This is the bit that people often damage when they're disassembling and reassembling on the other KWAs, because it often gets stuck in the wrong place or jumps out and people haven't realised, and then they're forcing the upper back on, and it crunches it, and all sorts of unpleasantries occur. Right, so next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put that back there, and I'm going to carefully feed the motor wires back in. So at this point, the red, a little bit fiddly this, so the black goes in the very back hole. The red goes in the front hole. Pheas gets a little bit sweary because it's not going where it's supposed to. Okay, slight interruption there because my phone overheated apparently. So I'm going to pull that red wire back through, get that out of the way, drop that back down, and then we should be able to see a clear hole through there. Perfect. And obviously I'm going to say the holes through there, but that wasn't a problem anyway. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this trigger pin back in that comes in from this side, and I was able to just pressure fit that in there. My bolt release is absolutely fine. Now, because it's slightly different, it's going to take me a little bit of thinking to figure this out. So next thing, drop that out the back of there. And I'm going to feed this onto here. And that's going to drop into place like that. I'm going to drop that back in. I'm going to screw that back down. There we go. That's in place. Next we can put this little screw back in that held in the top. That was a smaller bit. That was a 2 and not the 2.5. So drop this screw in at the top here. I'm going to screw that back in. Now I'm not going to over tighten that, I just want it to tighten until it bites and then I'm good. The selector is working. I may double check again that the selector was in the right place. So I can see it's in the right place, I can feel it's in the right place. Next, I can bring these back in. So again, they've got like tapered edges. Those are going down into the sockets like that. And the screw comes in from the top. And they were on the, is it 3? A 3 bit. Perfect. Drop that in there. That's that bit in. Next, now that this is in and secured down, I can drop the spring in. Again, making sure there's coils there. This tight groove pin goes at this end for the spring guide to sit in, and it just pushes in, quarter turn, and it locks back. And you're just marrying the teeth, and when it's locked in, it should be flat and flat all in one continuous line like that. Absolutely perfect. At this point now, I can bring in my Phillips head and put the screws back in the pistol grip. Again, there's only 2 places that it can go, that they should go. So that's one. Locate it. There we go. That's in. I'm going to drop the black cable's going to come. The black cable's going to come to the front that way. The red cable's going to come up the front as well. This can be a little bit fiddly. There's no real pretty or easy way to do this. It literally is just fighting with it. I'm just going to rest that down on there, being gentle with it because obviously I don't want to break the charging handle assembly. So I'm just going to drop that in. The red terminal goes to the back, the black is at the front. Now instantly I'm making sure that that's nice and springy, and it is. The black connector goes on the black terminal like that. The red, I'm just going to coil up and round and drop on like that. I'm going to bring the base plate back in, and I'm just going to carefully pull those wires out the way so that they're not getting nipped or in the way of anything. Again, it should be nice and springy. There should be no need to force that at all. Put this bit back in, the smaller bit. Now I'm just going to loosely do that one initially, because sometimes I can find that this little back one, if you tighten the front one first, sometimes this can be a pain to get in, and that's when you can damage this particular screw. And I would always advise being very careful with this back one, because it seems to round it out very easily. So just be careful with that. So that's those back in place. It's coming together really quick now and easy. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to feed the wiring into there. I'm going to wiggle that into place and rest that like that. I'm going to bring the screw assembly back in, and it will literally just, you can't miss it. Hopefully you can see that probably. There is a perfect shape for it to slit into. So I'm just going to use my finger to drop it down slowly into the place. And even without the screw, it shouldn't move about particularly. And then the screw bites in, tightens down. That's that part done. Stick our extension battery cover on it. Bring our stock back in on it. press the button, and that goes. Extend that out in a minute. I'm then going to drop the barrel and hop, making sure that the spring was on the barrel, into there. Again, should be nice and springy. I'm going to make sure that the plate is nice and neat. It is exactly where it should be. That's just going to slide back. Perfect. The front pin is just going to go in. Now, it might be that you need to, oh no, went in, and then I'm going to tighten that down. Again, make sure that you're getting in those threads. It shouldn't be hard to get it in there, otherwise you're going to damage threads. Tighten it down, and that's it. We have disassembled and reassembled our KWA E4 ICE and had a look inside. I hope you found that useful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. There's some good design decisions in there, a couple of unusual ones, but really useful. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.